And it looks like we're live. How's it going, everyone? Thanks for tuning in for another Mandalorian After Show. I'm joined by Red Leader 1.
Hi, guys.
So we're just going to hang out and talk about Chapter 12, The Siege. It was a pretty full-on, action-packed, exciting episode. And, you know, Malcolm, you're being a big fan of the Empire and Troopers. This one was right up your alley.
Yeah, definitely.
This is going to be. I feel like this is going to be an episode that people are going to call a filler episode, but it was filled to the brim with stuff to talk about, and you know, building this world already. Like it's crazy. So before we jump into the episode, I think we'll just hang for a little bit. We've got 4 people in the chat. But yeah, before we dig into the episode, we'll just chat a little bit about stuff. But have you had any pickups this week, Star Wars toy related?
Yes,
get some toy talk out of the way.
Got some. Well, I did a video today on my collection of carded Revenge of the Sith figures. I started to pick these guys up. Like I had a couple for a little while, but then I don't know if you know Go Figure Collectibles. They're a good site
over in Victoria,
to catch up on some of the older figures and that. So I ended up ordering a whole heap of these guys. So I'm really getting into the 3.75s, but collecting them and leaving them carded, like especially the older stuff. So here you go, Nettie. I got that video, and then obviously the Incinerator Trooper, which you can see there.
Yeah, we're just talking about how easily available these things are in Australia at the moment in Targets, because they're just packed to the brim. It's like they got 3 or 4 cases each store and have just loaded up a couple of pegs. And
also, if you notice, the star cases, I've been ordering a fair few of these off of Aussie Sci-Fi Collectibles. Because a lot of my vintage collection I've got stored away, and I really want to look after them. So I've bitten the bullet, and I've started buying these cases for them and putting them in there. So I've still got a fair few to do, but I've been doing that over the week or so. So it's
really
off
to a good start.
Yeah.
Legend of Lewis, greetings back to you, sir. I went and looked at their site for some star cases myself, but saw they'd sold out. So you must have bought the rest of their stock.
No.
But yeah, I'm looking at picking a few up myself. But yeah, I'm going to grab them from somewhere else. I know I'm going to grab them. So,
Bulletproof Villain have them, but I ended up getting 20 from there, but they're not clear.
Do they have like an extra film on it? Because I know a lot of these Starcase companies now is they're putting a little bit of extra film on the front, so when they're transported, they're not getting those scuffs and scratches in packaging. So that'd be worth looking at.
Okay.
Because there's a company called Evo something, and I got one of the cases off of Goody Toys for my 6-inch Harney Carbonite, and it fits in there really well, but when you get it, it looks quite murky and cloudy, but it's got an extra layer of film you peel off, and it gives it like a really beautiful clean finish. So that might be worth looking at.
Yeah,
because if there is a film, it may be like just picking at a corner and trying to peel it off.
I'll definitely have a look at that. But because I actually checked to see some reviews on the cases, and you can actually see when they do the review on it. So maybe there is, I don't know. I'll have to have another look. But yeah.
Matt Mando, how's it going? Said, hi guys, glad to see you back on the early time slot again. Vintage collection extremely hard to get a hold of in the UK now, with no national retailers stocking them, so just stick to 6-inch these days. We've had similar problems here in Australia, really, for vintage collection in the last few years. We got like the first wave of vintage collection that came back out. When was that? 2017, 18?
18, I think.
Yeah. And it's sort of just dried out. So yeah, the incinerator trooper that we're just talking about before is the first figure that's really popped up for us in big retailers for quite a long time. Hey Hoppy's Creations in the chat there as well. Yeah, I haven't really had a lot this past week, but yeah, it's good. It's like I said, it's good to be back on the Friday night time slot. I did do it Saturday last week, and it was good to see some different folks from the States jump in. And I'm probably going to do the same thing in a week or two, just because I've got a couple of people that want to come on chat. So we'll do that again. Should we dig into this episode?
Yep.
Cool. So this is it's Chapter 12, The Siege. It was directed by Carl Weathers, who plays Grief Karga. It was the return of Grief Karga and Cara Dune to this episode. And I don't know, it feels like a fair bit of time has passed since we saw them at the end of season 1. How far do you reckon ahead we've jumped?
Yeah, I wouldn't have a clue. It would have been a fair while, actually. So
yeah, it certainly feels like that because Grief's got the beard. Cara Dune has been tidying up the little town there on Navarro, and it's looking like a nice little hub of business there. So it's must have been a little while. I'll be interested to see whether they eventually put a timeline out for this sort of stuff and work out what's happening. But I think from the get-go, we sort of learnt a lot, despite what I was saying earlier about a lot of people are probably going to call this a bit of a filler episode because it didn't introduce any major characters like we have had in the last few episodes with Cobb Vanth and the Mandalorian's Bo-Katan last week. But we're sort of working out a little bit more what the New Republic era is like, and with the Imperial remnants still running around and in the Outer Rim, we're sort of really starting to get a good painted picture of what's going on here. So, I sort of picked out a few things that both Mando and Grief Karga both mentioned in this episode that the New Republic shouldn't really bother with the Outer Rim because they said if the Empire couldn't control it, well, how's the New Republic? And we're sort of seeing the Imperial remnant is still quite strong out in the galaxy at the moment in the Outer Rim. So it's kind of safe to say that the New Republic's probably going to give up on it at some point, and that's where it takes us straight into the sequel era, really.
So where is Mandalorian set? How far after Return of the Jedi or Jakku is it?
I think it's meant to be about 3 to 5 years after Return of the Jedi.
Okay.
So I'd say 4 or 5 years is probably pretty safe.
Yeah.
So it's evolving. New Republic's, really testing to see how far they need to stretch in order to take back control from the Empire.
You see how the X-Wings are still the T-65s at the moment, so they haven't upgraded to the T-70s yet. So or maybe I was thinking, because these guys are the pilots are more acting like cops, aren't they, at the Outer Rim?
Yeah.
So maybe the newer fighters are closer into the core worlds, the inner core worlds. And
but what we got from this pilot, I've already forgotten what his name is that, they've definitely got an inkling about what's going on out there, and there is more at play than just, a Mandalorian running in his ship. And trouble seemed to come up. There's definitely more at stake, and they're aware of it. But whether or not the New Republic back in the core is actually going to listen to these pilots that are cruising around the Outer Rim, because, they're probably not particularly important to what's going on in the core worlds. And they did mention Coruscant too at one point.
Yeah, I just got this feeling near the final episodes that I reckon we're actually going to see the New Republic in it. I've got a feeling, especially that discussion between, I can't remember the names, when he left the medal or what was it he left on the table?
It was almost like a badge, a token, an offer to her to join the New Republic, which I think we'll see that happening. I think the rumors are pretty strong of a spin-off there. To see maybe Cara Dune go off and join a group of New Republic soldiers, and maybe we'll see a different side of what's going on with the Mandalorian series, and it'll run sort of adjacent to the timeline. So
maybe something like the novel Twilight Squadron, where you follow a group of soldiers who are still fighting what's left of the Empire and the Outer Rim, or something like that would be nice. So. First off, I have to say that I was super happy to see that Imperial light cruiser. After last week's Gizanti, seeing that, I had a feeling that we were going to see it, and to see it at the end was really, really good, because I love my Imperial ships, and to see it in live action, it was good.
Yeah, a nice New Hope nod shot too as well. Like it just, the ship just cruising over the camera was really cool. Eddie's saying here, definitely an episode full of surprises if you want to label it as filler. Love the episode. Yeah, I'm not labeling it as filler at all. To me, it's all killer.
I think what happens at the end of it is, it just adds to the story on what Gilligan, is that his...
Gideon, yeah.
Gideon, what his plans are. So, but yeah, at first when the episode started, I was a little bit worried that it was going to be an episode that I wasn't really going to enjoy, but like you said, as an Imperial fan, when they hit that Imperial base, it was really good.
Yeah, I was just thinking about the Imperial base itself too. So basically the aim of the mission is they need to go and destroy this Imperial base because, they don't want Imperial holdouts on the planet anymore. So it's time to go and eliminate this so-called just outpost. But yeah, from the exterior, the landing pad, everything surrounding it, it's very reminiscent of the Edu platform from Rogue One. And if you've played Jedi Fallen Order, there is a landing platform that you see a ship take off from in Zepho. And yeah, both got exactly the same sort of aesthetic, surrounds. Just stuff like that's really cool to see. Imperial uniformity amongst its bases and different outposts they have spotted around the galaxy.
So it was mentioned in it, it wasn't an actual military base, it was more of a science base, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was like a research lab.
Research lab, yeah. A bit like in Rogue One as well.
That was a research lab for the kyber crystals, wasn't it? So
yeah.
Whereas this is obviously to do with cloning, but we'll get into the whole cloning thing after. I'm just going to get through a couple of comments here. Not seen anything of season 2 yet. Well, I hope you haven't been spoiled, but need to rewatch season 1. It's only on Disney Plus since October. Christmas viewing sorted. If you got any 2 characters? Oh, yeah, we finished this comment here. Meant to say if any characters you'd like to see next. Dengar for me. That says Damien. I don't know. I'm kind of happy just to sort of see what happens next as opposed to bringing in more characters.
Definitely.
Lucas is saying off to visit Ahsoka next episode. I wonder now that Gideon's tracking Mando if he's going to take interest in Ahsoka for his experiments. Possibly, but Ahsoka has 2 lightsabers, so she's not going to take it. She's not going to accept a prisoner or anything lightly. She's not going to take too kindly to an Imperial like Gideon.
So is Ahsoka, I can't remember, is she still part of the New Republic, or is she just out on her own now?
She is... We don't know. The last we saw of her was at the epilogue of Star Wars Rebels, where she came back to Lothal to pick up Sabine.
Yeah.
And this is post Return of the Jedi. So they skipped after Return of the Jedi because... If you remember Sabine sort of looking out over the city of Lothal and she's sort of saying, we're held here waiting for the war to come, but it never did. And then Ahsoka comes and they both take off to go, assumedly, they take off to go find Ezra.
Yeah.
So you can only assume that Ahsoka is with Sabine, maybe Ezra if they've already found him. Who knows? Like, it's going to be a big surprise, I think, when it happens. And I don't think we're going to see it next episode. I just get this feeling that they're going to They're going to make us wait a little bit longer. Good morning, Darth Mark. He is here. Blue Harvest Vintage Toys. Hope you're doing well, mate. Definitely some cloning and science experimentation going on here at that base, especially when you see that last scene. Exactly. Yeah, there's a lot going on there. So I just want to talk about the child as well for a little bit. He had a great episode. He had some great little highlights. The scene where Mando's trying to get him to plug the different cable into the right port, that just reminded me of like Guardians of the Galaxy with Rocket trying to tell Baby Groot not to press the button. I just got that vibe from it straight away. And then the little turd ends up electrocuting himself. But yeah, I really liked him using the Force to steal the blue macarons. Steal that kid's packet of Oreos. He wanted an Oreo.
He's always hungry, isn't he?
And his kids do. He ate too much and then vomited up on himself. So I couldn't help it. I couldn't help but smile through that whole moment. This might be a question for you. The light cruiser was awesome. How big do you think Gideon's fleet is? Star Destroyers.
I hope he's got a Star Destroyer, but I don't think he has. Like, I reckon I'm thinking that wasn't there in one of the novels. I can't remember if it's the Aftermath novels. Wasn't there a Super Star Destroyer that disappeared and was never found or something? Like it disappeared in the unknown regions after.
It's ringing a bell. Yeah, that's ringing a bell. Because I know one of them crashed into Jakku, but there was another one. I thought, I think
there was one.
Something there.
Yeah, there was. I think there was actually two. One, I can't remember. I have to revisit the book, but I'm pretty sure there was another Super Star Destroyer that disappeared after Jakku into the unknown region. So I don't know. maybe there could be a Super Star Destroyer out there. Might be, or
possible,
maybe that's. But I don't know. I would love to see a Star Destroyer, but I think they're really going to focus on some of the ships we see in Star Wars Rebels and that for the Empire.
Yeah,
that's why we've seen the Gazanti and the light cruiser as well,
pulling together a bit more of that Imperial armada that has, basically just fleed from the core and is now just doing their own thing out in the Outer Rim. That'd be cool to see. I really want to see. Remember in Rebels, they stole that ship that was almost like looked like a pizza slice with a hanger underneath it.
Yeah, the carrier. What was
it? I'd like to see one of them in live action. I think that would be pretty sweet. Usual Mike is in the chat. Hey, dude, how are you? Yeah, we're talking Dark Troopers, Vader Troopers. I immediately thought of Dark Troopers because I pulled this image up pretty much straight away. There he is.
Yeah, they definitely look like something like that.
Maybe not as like beefy or bulky, but definitely sort of along those lines.
Now, the Dark Troopers, did they have humans in them, or they were all robots?
I think they're all robots. Yeah.
Looks like these might be something in line with the Death Troopers as well. Maybe they've got humans inside them.
Possibly, yeah.
To me, I think I was kind of also thinking about because they want to take the blood from Baby Yoda, and maybe they're trying to make those the concept stormtroopers with the lightsabers, the original white ones. Maybe
that'd be cool.
Trying to make Force wielding stormtroopers or something with lightsabers, or something like that.
That'd be interesting. Hey, Ed 5, how's it going, man? He's up your way, almost up your way. Yeah, so the cloning thing. That was probably the heaviest little bit of lore that came into this episode. I knew we were going to get there eventually, but we haven't really touched on that whole idea since back in Chapter 3, where Mando broke back into the client's outpost and took back the child. And Pershing couldn't kill the baby. We've got that confirmed now that he didn't take enough blood. They talked about, yep, he's beat me to the punch. The M word. That's a dirty word for some Star Wars fans. They don't like some Star Wars fans don't like the word midichlorians. But we know that's exactly what they're talking about. Are we too soon into assuming that they're already planning clone hosts for Palpatine or clone hosts for, making bodies for Snoke? I don't know. What are your thoughts?
That's a possibility, yeah. I think more that they're trying to create some type of new super soldier or something like I mentioned before. Force wielding troopers or something like that.
Definitely possibilities there. Vader clones.
Because I think these guys who are the Imperials who are left now are different to the mob that have disappeared into the unknown region. So I think this is, it's totally two different groups, which I don't think these Imperials would eventually become the First Order.
First Order,
yeah. I think those guys are off in the unknown region.
They're already doing their thing, you think?
Yeah.
Yeah, it could be absolutely possibility. This is what Mark's saying right here. This is why I love Star Wars and why it's episodic. Gets our minds working, gets us talking. Couldn't put it better myself. This is, we've got sort of 25 years before Force Awakens. We've got 25 years of like lore and Star Wars Galaxy era stuff to sort of piece all this together. And it's nice to have some sort of mystery brought back into it. I mean, not that the mystery's ever disappeared, but something to discuss and talk about and think about. It's really, really cool. I'm loving this at the moment. I wish I got a little bit closer look at what's going in those clone tanks, though.
They were pretty deformed, whatever they were, humans or something in there.
Yeah. So it sounds like the child potentially has enough blood for what they need, but because Dr. Pershing, the Camino scientist with the glasses, so he couldn't put the child down and take all of its blood, and he pretty much says, I won't fail you again, Gideon. But Gideon really doesn't give a crap. Like, he's willing to kill this little kid for what he needs for his mission, which is kind of scary because, Star Wars and child killers haven't really gone down well in the past.
Definitely.
Yeah, so Eddie's on the same wavelength of you here. He reckons he wants to head up a new empire of sorts with some kind of super soldiers. It's definitely not out of the question. 3 years between Empire and Jedi were the best years. Who was another and who was Vader, Luke's dad? I was about 10 years removed from that still. I didn't come along till long after that. So, but yeah, that would have been pretty exciting times. It's credible to think sort of before Return of the Jedi came out that there were a lot of people that thought Vader was lying the whole time. So I'm just checking my notes here to see what I've got.
How's those TIE fighters with the wings?
That was cool to see more of them. I thought that was coming from season 1. I thought that might have been like a one-off for Gideon, but that's obviously.
So they're actually in the Force Awakens. What's the book called? The concept.
Was that in the Art of?
Stuff. The Art of,
the Art of book.
They've got them in. So I'm just wondering, are these just a new type of or different classes TIE fighter, or all TIE fighters could do this, and we've only just seen it now, or something like that?
I don't know. I kind of feel like this is a later model, perhaps. Something that's just been made towards the end of the war, perhaps. Because that's we're so used to seeing TIE fighters like hanging on racks like they were in the Star Destroyers, but maybe they can land as well. Ed 5 is saying the next vintage collection vehicle, those tires, I think. That one I could probably double with, but looking at the spread of those things and how they're going to sit out, that's going to be a big vehicle even for 3 3/4 inch. But it would be a welcome one anyway.
So I'm just looking at
Vader was lying.
Just how we were talking about the Mr. Super Star Destroyer, and I'm just looking here. I think it's the Eclipse.
Right.
They thought it was destroyed. Ray Sloan uncovered that the Eclipse, Palpatine's personal flagship, had in fact disappeared. That's it.
Right.
So that was Palpatine's personal Super Star Destroyer, the Eclipse. They thought it was destroyed, but Ray Sloan uncovered that it in fact disappeared. So, and that's it.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So there you go. The Eclipse, that was Palpatine's, and it just disappeared. So they don't know what happened to it. So maybe,
and that was housing all the sort of top ranking Imperials that Palpatine didn't, wanted to come and start again with. Whereas,
so that disappeared after Jakku.
Yeah. I'm trying to remember, was Operation Cinder. Do you remember Operation Cinder from Battlefront?
Yeah.
It was basically like the Emperor's contingency plan to destroy any worlds that were, sort of in control of the Empire, because at the time, if he was to die, he didn't think the Empire would be able to have control of the galaxy without him. So, we've that's sort of come into the story a few times now, is the Operation Cinder. Naboo, I think Bespin, there was a planet in Alphabet Squadron that was mentioned. There was a few others that were completely taken out. But
that's why when The Last Jedi, because there was word there was supposed to be some new super destroyer, and then there was a lot of talk about Palpatine's ship, but that turned out to be something different.
Yeah.
But the Eclipse, was that also the name of the ship in the expanded universe as well? The real massive one, bigger than a Super Star Destroyer, had the front of it had that real long thing down.
I'm trying to remember, because I reckon that was in Dark Empire, and I only read that recently.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That'd be interesting if that showed up.
That would be a cool looking ship in live action, with that sort of real big, like you said, the big fin down the front. That would be really cool. Like the troop transport in full flight. That was a great sequence. Seeing the all the speeder bikes taking chase and taking off down the mountainside, and a couple of them seriously can't ride bikes to save their life. They just crashed before they even got going.
Yeah.
That was funny.
Did you notice one of the speeders literally blew up the same way as the original toy with the button at the back?
No, I didn't. Oh, that's really cool. I like that. I did like the last speeder bike to get taken out, and you just see the Scout Trooper helmet bouncing along the ground.
So I try to catch the name of it. So it's a smaller version than the Imperial transport. This is more of a assault version, I guess, because it didn't really have transport sides like the. I can pull this guy out. It didn't really look like this.
It had two bigger looking cannons on the side.
The front looked like it. Then it
still had the sort of bulk on the side,
and then the two big guns, and it was a bit shorter, and the gun was a round one. So, and it never had didn't have that at the back. It had its engines. You could see them.
Of course. Yeah.
So, we can see Hasbro bringing that out. Vintage collection.
Yeah. I was saying before, a slight retool of that would be maybe bunging on shelves for QuickSmart. I'm here. The trio landing gear folding up inside the body doesn't leave much room. Oh, for the TIE fighters, yeah, definitely. That would be a tight fit. Didn't Ray Sloan at the end of Aftermath series take off again with the Eclipse and disappear? Yeah, I'm completely, he's saying too. Been a while since I read the Aftermath book series. Yeah, me too.
I'll have to jump back in there and have a look.
Cool Easter eggs again this episode. There were. I like the little just from the start when we're back in the old Mandalorian lair, and Cara Dune's down there taking out a bunch of Aqualish sort of people that have been stealing from the locals, and there was the little space meerkat. I really like that. That was a cool moment. But yeah, it's cool to see, another species that we've known for a long time being like Walrus Man, and hearing like 4 of them gang together and basically acting like pirates. I thought it was a good start to the episode, and Cara Dune just completely wiping the floor with them. But it was cool. Like some of the Aqualish guys, they sort of look different. Like some of them look a little bit more Ponda Baba. They had the bum chin, and then there was another one that looked like it had more tusks. I didn't see whether any of them had 4 eyes, because there are some with 4 and there are some with 2. But I didn't pick that out. I've only watched it once, so I'll be watching it again. Blue Harvest is saying Cara joining the New Republic again. I think that's exactly where she's going. Knowing how much Empire is still out there, I think she's got enough of a vendetta against the Empire that she will jump on board. And I think that may or may not be our first spin-off series, but we'll see. Maybe not.
How many episodes are left?
4. We're halfway through.
Okay.
So assuming the last 2 are a little bit longer like they were last season, we've still got quite a good length of episode time to go. Walrus Man for TVC in 2021. That would be a good figure to repack, actually. That original Walrus Man that was that came out in the TVC back in like 2011, 2012. That was a great figure. They put him in the Black Series 3 3/4 inch. That'd be a nice one to put back out again. That was a really, really good figure. I'd like to see that. I'd like to see a squad of Walrus Men from Mandalorian. I just love that they're showing all these old species that we've seen since the original trilogy, like the Aqualish. We had the Squid Heads last week. We had the Mon Calamari last week. We've had Tusken Raiders, Jawas, all these cool aliens that we've known for years.
No big monsters this time.
No big monsters.
Yeah.
It's nice to have a break from the big monsters. The Mimbanese guy, the one that was fixing the Razor Crest, that ended up being the double spy, double agent for the Empire. It's cool to see another Mimbanese come into live action, because they're the aliens that the Empire is fighting in Solo on the mud planet there on Mimban.
Yeah, and
so
one of them is a
get
pilot in the
squadrons.
Squadrons. Yep.
So yeah, the Empire still has spies everywhere too, which is not looking good going forwards. Just sort of really starting to feel like things ramping up now. Like I said, halfway through the season, 4 episodes in, it's pretty crazy. Really, really ramping up, which is great to see. I'm looking forward to seeing where it goes. I don't know that we're going to get Ahsoka next week. I just don't know. Although next week, I believe, is Dave Filoni's directed episode. So I don't know that anyone else could direct an episode with Ahsoka except for Filoni.
How about they go to that planet and Ahsoka's not there, but Captain Rex is? That'd be good.
That would be good. There's a lot of possibilities here. That's why I love this thing.
And Captain Rex goes with the Mando to find Ahsoka or something like that. But I don't know.
There's just so many seeds there's just so many small seeds that have been planted along the way. Like we've got Cobb Vanth. He's probably due to come back at some point. I'd like to see him again. My theory with Cobb Vanth is, as the Mandalorian, as Din Djarin's story unfolds, he'll get back in touch with the Mandalorians from last week, Bo-Katan, I think he'll eventually decide that the way that he's been living as a Mandalorian by that creed isn't necessarily the way to go forward when there are other Mandalorians that, you know, have more stake to the claim of a Mandalorian like Bo-Katan, and they're just happy to take the helmet off. So I think we'll finally get to see more Pedro Pascal as Din Djarin going forward. And I also think that with him still carrying around Boba Fett's armor, I think he will sort of understand that to be a Mandalorian is more about the honor of wearing the armor. And I think back in Chapter 9, Episode 1 with Cobb Vanth, I think he's aware that Cobb Vanth showed enough honor wearing that armor that he's deserving of it. So he'll go back and give him the armor back. That's just my little... That's just my little idea.
So there is a season 3 going to happen, though, isn't there?
Yeah, apparently.
Yeah. So they're going to continue having Baby Yoda. Like, is he going to eventually, when he finds Ahsoka, is Ahsoka going to look after the child, and then we're going to move on just with the Mandalorian? Or you reckon they'll still on that?
Yeah, I don't know. That could change. That could upset the apple cart a little bit, possibly.
Because you can't keep taking the child with you everywhere, though. Really, like there has to be some change.
Yeah, there's only excuse me. There's only so many babysitters around the galaxy. Excuse me, I just need to have a drink of water.
Well, so the whole mission for the Mando is to find Ahsoka or other Jedi like the child, so he can pass on to them to look after.
Yeah, that's where I think his mission will expand past that. Maybe he does. Maybe he does pass on the child to Ahsoka, but his mission with the Mandalorians is what keeps him going further. Helping Bo-Katan and that climb back the throne of Mandalore. Just going back a little bit. Justin saying Moff versus Ahsoka next week. I'm calling it. Surely that's coming up. I think it will. I think next week's probably a big call, but I won't say I'm not keen. The Mithril. Yes, he was cool to see again. I like how he did his little as soon as he saw Mando walk through the door, his little like I assume just his species version of crapping himself. No Trapper Wolf in this. No, but I assume that was his X-Wing sitting there with the other one at the end there. Clayton is in the house, by the way. 6:07 a.m. in Florida. Good morning, Florida. Boba next episode. I'm finding it hard to think that we're going to see Boba again this season. I think that's just going to be another seed that's going to be planted for later down the track. I don't know. What do you think about Boba Fett, Malcolm?
I'm hoping to see him again, but like you said, maybe we might not until next season.
There is, as much as it is rumor, there seems to be a rumor for, a spin-off for every character at the moment. But I can sort of see them maybe doing a limited series, one season of Boba Fett set between Return of the Jedi and where we see him in Mandalorian. How he escaped the Sarlacc, etc.
I just don't think there's enough episodes for him to reappear again, really.
No, it's hard to get 8 episodes of him walking around the desert for a few years, isn't there? Really.
Maybe he might show up in the last one. Episode. Save the day.
Yeah, we'll see. I don't know. It's his Slave 1's going to be parked there on Tatooine still around Jabba's palace.
I've always wondered what happened to Slave 1, but you would hope he's still got it. Or you would think someone's probably pinched it before he got out the Sarlacc pack or something.
Yeah, well, Hondo Onaka could show up and he could have pinched it. Oh, that sounds like something he'd do. It's a Magnificent Seven for the last episode. Do we need another Seven Samurai sort of episode though? Because I don't know, we've sort of been there and done that. Yeah, it would work. It could be done. Gonna need an ultimate team up of some sorts. You know, we're talking Mando coming together, Cobb Vanth. Yeah, good, bad, and the ugly, like you're saying here. Having Din Djarin, Cobb Vanth, Boba Fett all teaming up. I like the idea of Boba Fett being an ally. I think that would be really, really interesting. But I don't see it happening. Just personally, I think he's got a pretty strong vendetta against the Jedi.
Do you think Moff Gideon? I keep stuffing his name up. Gideon, is it Gideon?
Gideon, yeah.
Moff Gideon. Do you think he's answering to someone else?
I think he is for sure.
There's someone higher up that they haven't revealed yet.
Yeah, I think he is. I think he's level-headed enough to take a mission himself. Like he's doing a cause for himself. But I think at the end of the day, he is answering to someone higher up.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't be surprised if it ends up being someone like Grand Admiral Thrawn, who is still MIA after Rebels. So, hey, Roquan, how's it going, buddy? Thanks for tuning in.
The Star Wars Squadron game.
Mike's saying perhaps
the Star Wars Squadron game, what's the timeline for that one?
I can't remember. I think it's still, I think it's post Jakku. So it's hard to pinpoint some of this stuff without them actually saying. You know what I'll do? We'll find a book. Let's grab Alphabet Squadron down because it's probably around about the same time. And I'm going to see if they've put a timeline at the start of this book.
Obviously, Rogue Squadron set between Jedi and Jakku, Battle of Jakku. So, yeah, because of the, what were the Star... all the new ships of the Rebellion are building because they were built in time for the Battle of Jakku.
Yeah.
So I was just trying to think where Ray Sloan is at this stage.
Yeah.
So maybe Ray Sloan could be the higher up.
Yeah, because well, she just made that appearance in the Squadrons game,
and she was alive.
She hasn't quite disappeared yet.
She disappeared after the Battle of Jakku as well, so we don't know where she ended up as well. So maybe that'll be cool to see. Ray Sloan.
Hit up Star Wars. We're gonna have to go hit up Star Wars Explained on YouTube and sift through some of their videos, just as a refresh.
Oh, I love this stuff going in there and just mind boggles. All the books you can read and find out.
Chat. How's it going, Sci-Fi? Bo-Katan, Mithril, Moff Gideon, Fett, glad it's expanding. Ahsoka will be a surprise. Great episode. Also a slight nod to the sequels. Oh, yeah, Vanth. Hey, Chief Chirper. Just tuned in. Thanks for hanging out. Good to see all these cool folks in the chat tonight. This is really fun. But, yeah, we could really go in, dig deep, and talk about, like, times and... Oh, that's what this episode's really done for me is... trying to work out where it all fits in the timeline. I'm kind of just hungry for clarity, but at the same time, I like the speculation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, the question was asked a while ago about how big do you think the Imperial fleet is, the Moff's fleet is, and we only see him on a light cruiser, so you would assume if he had a bigger ship, he'd be on a Star Destroyer, really, eh? If you really think about it. So,
yeah, that's true. I wonder whether he has a base of operations too, whether he has a home base or whether this ship is his home base. He's clearly planning his little Dark Trooper military here on this ship, on this light
Right.
cruiser. So, yeah, I kind of want a better look at them. I thought when I first saw that helmet, and it was of a funny angle looking at Gideon as he was sort of looking up. There was the trading card that Mike showed us a couple of weeks ago, and it was one of the Rogue One troopers, but it was like looked like it was Beskar.
Yep.
So my immediate thought was it was that helmet that we're going to see, and maybe it was his own suit that Moff Gideon was going to wear. But yeah, then it zoomed out, 20 bays of troopers there, of soldiers or whatever it is. Yeah, very interested to see what's going on there. But I don't know. What did you think of the Imperial base? There were a lot of cool callbacks there. We talked about the Imperial base a little bit, but I liked the sort of same control tower, and I liked the little joke about there not being any railings.
Yeah. The railing joke. Yeah. It was good seeing that. I just love how they're just expanding on the universe and just seeing, stuff like that on the Mandalorian. But no, the base was cool. I always feel, because I'm a big Imperial fan. I always hate when I see the troopers get taken out so easy. But then again, you got your main characters. You can't. That's why with the Clone Wars was good with that, because you had there was such a large character base. You were going to lose your characters you love. Star Wars Rebels was a bit annoying because you had that small group of guys, and until they eventually had a bit of a rebellion on their side, that you would see A-Wing pilots get destroyed and stuff like that. So, I hate seeing when the troopers are so easily dispatched in them and that. But
yeah, I just love every moment that we've seen so far. We got a little bit last week of the Mandos on the Imperial ship that we saw. But just running around, stormtroopers running around in Death Star sort of style corridors, and
not taking cover and just like
that's what it's all about. Yeah,
when they just run out in the open.
I was waiting for the I was waiting for the two stormtroopers. There was a part where two stormtroopers walked past and they were just chatting. I was waiting for them to pick up the conversation that we've had from a few movies where they're talking about the new speeder. You remember that? Have you seen the new T-16? Yeah. That whole conversation that was going on. And David Collins and Sam Witwer continued it on with the sequels. And in Rogue One, I think, there were a couple of stormtroopers that Baze and Chirrut took out, and they were both continuing that conversation. So I was half expecting that. They didn't do it, but that's cool.
It's just so good to see the Imperial troopers and that running around.
I just love the nice, clean white Imperials.
Yeah. I want to see some snow troopers or something.
Yeah, we've had scouts.
Death troopers.
They're saying, and the stormtroopers reusing A New Hope speeches. I didn't pick up on it. What was it? What did they say? Just drop a quote in the chat here for us, because I didn't pick up on that, but I'm going to watch it again. Mike's just saying here, I'm sure some Instagrammers will screenshot them off Army for a better look. I'm sure they already have. There are enough accounts out there that don't really give a crap. A control tower reminds me of some of the old Jedi Knights game. Yeah. I like the control tower because it's basically the same thing that Ben Kenobi goes down and shuts down the reactor thing for the Death Star.
And yeah, that sound that
that's one of my favorite sounds in Star Wars. I thought Carl Weathers did an amazing job directing. Awesome job directing. Yeah, I thought so too. I think he was absolutely fantastic. He was great in the episode. I love that he's just doing, I don't know, he's doing some shady work. I'm not sure whether he's still doing like Bounty Hunters Guild stuff. I feel like he probably is, but he seems to be a little bit more in control than he was. I really like the bar that got shot up in the end of season 1. There's now been converted into a school for local kids. I thought that was really cool. So that also shows how much time has passed. Like, we're going to say it's probably 6 to 12 months in our years.
And the Razor Crest is fixed.
Yep. Jeez, they fixed that quick, didn't they?
Yeah.
Those two
Also-
mechanics got that cleaned up and looking brand new in about 25 minminutes.
Yeah, I was expecting a different colour for Hasbro to release a different version of it again.
I wish they had waited to do the backing for another 2 weeks, because then they could have had if you reach 20,000 stretch goal, we'll add some fishnets in there.
Yeah,
We'll fill it with rope and fishnets.
you reckon the Mando's armor will change down the track, where he'll get some color to it or something? You would have
I hope
to,
so. He stands out like a sore thumb at the moment. No wonder everyone's after him. He's literally like a glowing silver beacon of riches.
Hasbro can't keep releasing the same figure. I know they can, but I mean,
they can. They
they'll
will.
have to, just change it up a bit. Make he has a bit of color, gets color to his armor or something like that. So
yeah, there is a picture going around, and I believe it was leaked at some point before the season started. And so he has one of his thigh armor, the one that's not painted, the one that's not Beskar. He has one thigh guard, and it looks like it's been switched out with. It's got boards that Zero from the Prisoner episode. Apparently, it looks like he has taken some plating off of that droid and put that on his thigh as a temporary fix until he gets some more armor. So I don't know. I'd like to see him maybe give it some, blue touches like the Death Watch or Bo-Katan, a cool nod to that. I mean, they're going to want to keep changing his outfit anyway, just to sell toys. And we can keep buying them.
Oh, that's it.
Myrtle 23, Imperials love putting reactor controls in the most inconvenient places. It's so true, though. It's like you've got to walk down a bridge that has no guardrails, and you've got to jump over onto a little platform that's less than a shoe wide. That was a tiny little... why don't they just have a separate room for these things? We're going to build an expansion on the room. Yeah, I'd love to know what kind of technology they were using to try and stop a volcano from blowing up too. Because that was the only thing, that little console was the only thing holding that base together from being ripped apart by a volcano.
This is not Mando, but did you end up watching the holiday special? The Lego one?
The Lego one? Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Yeah. How cool was that?
Oh, it was funny. I thought it was brilliant. I love Lego's sense of humor with with what they do. I thought that was really clever.
I thought it was a ripper, especially that bit when you got clone troopers fighting at stormtroopers. That bit there, that was.
It was I had a lot of fun watching that. I want to watch it again. It was cool. It kind of would have been cool to get some more of the voice actors back, some of the actual actors back to do the voices, but. I was kind of smiled when they showed Rey jumping in the elevator with Anakin and Obi-Wan, and it was Matt Lanter and James Arnold Taylor from the Clone Wars, so that was kind of cool. Gary is the Stormy from Robot Chicken. I think I missed the start of that. Oh yeah, there it is. One of the stormtroopers was probably Gary. Yeah, Gary was the one that that was the one that set Baru and Owen on fire, wasn't it? When he went to use their bathroom, and he knocked the shelf over, and then everything set on fire. The curtain set on fire, and then they bailed. And then you just see the burnt corpses of Owen and Baru lying in the sand. I haven't watched those Robot Chicken specials in a long time. Yeah, he said that's it. I remember now. Oh, you got any other thoughts on this episode? I think we've dug pretty deep. Anyone in the comments? Anyone in the chat? Got any thoughts? Gary on Daddy Daughter Day.
I just wish they could be. Wish it would be a little bit longer their episodes. That's all.
Yeah, I'm glad this one. Yeah, I'm glad this one was a few minutes longer than last week's, because everyone was starting to get a little bit edgy about the decline in episode length. We started off with a really long one, which almost felt like a full length feature. Really, it was that good. and then we went down to like 43 minutes, and then last week was 35, and this week I think we went back up to like 37 or 38 or something. But yeah, 40 minutes. There we go. Thanks, Ed. I had a thought in my brain, and now it's just gone. It's gone. Oh, yeah, I was thinking about Robot Chicken again. I was thinking about Robot Chicken where Palpatine's going up the escalator, and he's got all the stormtroopers that are just going, like, Emperor, Emperor, Emperor. He's like, Stormtrooper, Stormtrooper, Stormtrooper. He just gets really frustrated with them. He won't get, and Palpatine won't get into the lift with all the squid heads because he's, what does he say? He's like, I don't want to come out smelling like a fillet of fish. What do you think will eventually fight Gideon for the Darksaber? Ahsoka, Mando, Bo-Katan. I don't know. I think it's got to be Bo-Katan, I think. But I don't know, I've kind of just feel like they're really going to set up like the end game for the Mandalorian series, like maybe after 4 or 5 seasons, whatever they decide to do, is him basically becoming ruler of Mandalore. That's just the feeling I'm getting going forward. But maybe not. I don't know. It could go anyway. But I do want to see Ahsoka fighting Gideon with the Darksaber with her 2 white lightsabers. I think would be, to see that in live action, like in animation, that would be amazing. Like, I love all the Darksaber duels we've had in Clone Wars. I think we got many duels as such in Rebels with the Darksaber, but definitely in Clone Wars where we had like Obi-Wan fighting Pre Vizsla with the Darksaber. But to see that come into live action, fighting Ahsoka with her 2 white blades, I think that would be absolutely just beautiful to watch. And that last Clone Wars duel between Ahsoka and Maul was just absolutely spectacular. Ahsoka, because he said he fights with the Darksaber. Yeah, I do remember that. That was Giancarlo Esposito sort of saying that. And yeah, he talked about fighting with it and doing lightsaber fights. So we will see that. But yeah, I'm with you there, Mark. I think Ahsoka's the way to go there. No, I'm clicking too fast. Yeah, I agree with that. I have to raise the stakes for Din eventually. Chief Chopper, is it Dave Filoni episode next one? If so, we'll definitely see Ahsoka. Yeah, I believe it is. As far as I know, I believe that episode 5 is Filoni's. Yeah, that's probably the main reason why I think Ahsoka will come in next episode. If it's Dave Filoni's episode, it will be an Ahsoka episode. I think we'll meet her finally.
I hope so.
Yeah. I just can't wait to see it. They've done such a good job at keeping the spoilers out. Like, this is almost like the same level as Baby Yoda last year. Like, until the end of the first episode, we had no idea what the show was going to be about.
Yeah.
And they kept that so well hidden. But I just know that if we get Rosario Dawson as Ahsoka, then we're going to be waiting a long time for an action figure.
I'm just going to pop off for a sec because Sci-Fi's got a question.
Cool.
It's going to pop up and I'm going to go grab it.
Cool. So yeah, Traveller 6888. Baby Yoda was funny. The cables on the Razor Crest and stealing the macarons and chucking them up at the end from the flying. That was hilarious. Like, I just smiled. I had the biggest grin on my face with everything Baby Yoda did this episode. He was so good. All right, Sci-Fi, I'll bring up your question when Malcolm gets back. Oh, here he comes. Do you have one of those vehicles from the last episode? The one you can hang tires from? Yes.
There it is.
Yeah, that's so cool, man. I love that ship.
Yeah. So this is the
did you watch
game.
when did you go back and watch? Yeah, did you go back and watch the episode and like match it up for detail reference, like to see how close it was?
No, I haven't. I had the outside railings, which was unusual for the Empire with the stormtroopers when the when they first attacked it.
Oh yeah,
got on board. So
yeah.
maybe it was a little bit different, but I'll have to go and check that out. But this vehicle's from the Star Wars X-Wing game. I like picking them up, not to play the game, but because of the models themselves, so which are pretty cool.
Yeah, I haven't seen them in so long. They used to, my town had a Game Traders store for a while. They closed down a couple of years back now, I reckon. But they used to have a lot of them. I used to go in and I used to eye them off all the time, but I haven't seen them for a while now.
Yeah, I picked up heaps. I've got the Rebel Transport. I've got loads of TIEs and X-Wings and that. And I even brought the big play mat, but because I've got no one to play with, I try to teach my younger lads to play it, but when they're a little bit older. But it's a pretty cool game. But plus the models themselves are absolutely awesome. Like even like looking at this, the ship itself now. And I love the idea that in Rebels we got to see these drop-off AT-ATs as well, so which is cool.
Yeah.
But
are those? Is that landing gear that's on them, or is that just stands for the ship for display purposes?
That's the attachments for the tyres, and that's also the AT-ATs would lock onto them as well. You can actually take those off; they come off.
Oh, nice! So, excellent. So you can just have it as the ship in flight mode.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really cool. You have to do a video on your YouTube channel of some of all your little X-Wing vehicles from the game. That would be cool.
Yeah, I would have to do that. But yeah, very delicate with them. I don't want to break them. But yeah, you get tons of these TIE fighters and that. And the detail on them are awesome, especially the X-Wings and stuff like that. So I got heaps of them. But yeah, you don't really get too many. Yeah, I can't find them. I guess you find them on online stores and that, but they're pretty dear as well. True. So,
I think they look good quality though. They look like nice, accurate looking. Highly detailed. I remember looking at the Ghost from Rebels, and I was almost so many occasions I was so close to just grabbing that thing just to display as a model. Yeah. Well, if I just sneak off one, get all the weathering details.
I'll just go grab the Rebel Transport as well.
Cool. So we've got another question from Mike. Will it be a Ahsoka reveal like they did with Fett? That's kind of where I'm leaning towards. I thought they may have done it this episode, but I'm glad we're sort of holding off a little bit. Having Ahsoka revealed is going to be a big event in Star Wars fandom. I think fandom will explode quite a lot when this happens. So I think they want to build it up just right, I think, to get Ahsoka on screen. It's going to be a big, epic reveal. So I'm really looking forward to seeing how they do it, because it's going to be mind-blowing, I think. Mandalorian fan channel. What do you guys think the troops were? Moff Gideon was looking at the final scene, new type of dark troopers or force-powered stormtroopers. I think Malcolm's leaning towards like force-powered stormtroopers. I'm in the dark trooper camp, but we'll see. Dylan is agreeing. He's saying it looks like dark troopers. Lego made a version of that ship, and it is stupidly expensive now. I remember trying to look for that Ahsoka minifigure, and I should have bit the bullet when it was like $80 for the Rebels Ahsoka minifigure, because that entire set now, the Ahsoka itself goes for over 200 Australian now. So I'm really glad we got a Clone Wars Ahsoka Lego minifigure, because I just really wanted like an Ahsoka minifigure. But that set itself is just gone so high.
So there's the Rebel Transport. really good detail.
Yeah, that's nice. Oh, that's stunning, man. That is absolutely brilliant. Cool cargo containers underneath.
So,
yeah, that's brilliant.
So it's a little bit smaller. You can get the Raider. I think it's the Raider, isn't it? From the first Battlefront game in the campaign mode. The Raider as well. That's a lot bigger. And the one everyone would.
Can you get the medical frigate? The medical frigate would be a great one. The Rebel medical frigate.
You can get the medical frigate, and that's
got a lot of details.
Massive. Oh
wow. Yeah, that's the one. Oh man, that looks stunning.
So
yeah, I wish I picked that up now. That looks so good.
Yeah.
Mark says the Rebel thing looks like a flying gherkin.
It's pretty cool. Like it came with a
someone chewed the underside of it off.
Yeah. I just love Star Wars design of ships. They always best looking. I like it a lot. So yeah. Yeah, I got plenty.
What do you think the next ship from animation? What do you think the next ship from animation will be that we see in live action?
Trying to think what else we've seen in Star Wars Rebels.
I was thinking of Iden Versio ship, which was the Corvus from Battlefront.
Yeah, I think that's a Raider, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
I'd like to see one of them, but we're going. Ahsoka's on planet Corvus, so
yeah,
I don't think we're going to see two Corvuses in the same thing. Matt's saying TIE Defender. That would be cool. I just saw we've got a Star Wars Squadrons update that's giving us the TIE Defender and the B-Wing, so I can't wait to jump in and play as a B-Wing. Hound's Tooth. Was that Bosk's ship? I can't remember. I know the name. Trying to remember. Hound's Tooth. I'm going to call it and say Bosk's ship. I can't actually remember. I was right. 5 points to Gryffindor. Did you guys notice in the last episode the Mandalorian's props department had repainted the Mandalorian's original armor black and gave it to the guy that was with Bo-Katan named Axe Woves? No, I didn't. But that's smart use of props, I suppose. I know they recently said that they're able to access a lot of the stuff from London that they had shooting the last 5 theatrical films. So we're getting a lot of things showing up in Mando.
I just seen Ed 5's post. Malcolm just drops something. I did. The stand for this fell off.
Yeah. We heard the rattle from back here.
Yeah, it dropped off. Don't worry, it didn't break. So
that's the main thing.
I tried to open the sliding door. I had it there, and I was thinking it's going to fall, and I'm trying to open it. It just went. That's right. Long as this didn't break.
He would have got it away with it too if it wasn't for you meddling kids and your dumb dog.
You would have heard a big me in the background swearing or something if I broke it.
We'll have to edit that stuff out. All right, so we're just about in an hour 10. We might start thinking about wrapping up because there's nothing else coming to mind at the moment. But yeah, this was an absolute cracker of an episode, just action-packed from start to end. Really brought in some more universe building. I think it's compared to season 1, this is really starting to feel like a bigger place. yeah, it's just this is growing in leaps and bounds, and I just want to find out what the next series is going to be. Like, we know Lucasfilm's got something planned; they're just waiting to drop that ball. I think we are getting Bad Batch next year, a new animated series, and that's going to be really cool. Did you see the new Bad Batch figures that dropped last week? And they're getting their own packaging.
Pop Culture's got them on there for pre-order. I just hate the pre-orders.
I'm looking forward to those. They look cool.
It's just like everything's pre-order, and I've got too much stuff on pre-order at the moment.
There's more pre-orders than I actually have in my collection at the moment. It feels like.
Yeah.
They call that upcycling, reusing Mando armor. That's George Lucas' method. That is upcycling. That's not throwing anything out. Never throws anything out. All of his ideas, he's just hoarded them. All those maquettes, they're just in a big shed somewhere. I have the original comic that showed Boba Fett escape the Sarlacc, and in the comic, Boba has amnesia. So I'm wondering if Boba will have amnesia on the Mandalorian. That would actually be a really interesting plot device, because if he's just sort of out surviving, but you know, he seemed to have a pretty close eye on Mando as he was flying away with that with Boba's armor strapped to the back of the speeder bike. So yeah, we'll see. Didn't Boba also end up going training Han and Leia's kids, or Jaina Solo? He ended up training Jaina Solo in like martial arts and stuff. It's been a long time. Yeah, so you got any last thoughts, Malcolm? Or we'll start wrapping this up, I reckon.
I'm hoping that we see Ahsoka next episode. I think the build-up to the last episode for the season is going to be quite interesting with these maybe dark troopers that Gideon has created, and I think we're going to be in for a big epic showdown at the end, I reckon. A fairly large battle with Mandalorians, and I think the New Republic are going to make a appearance at the end of it, I reckon, because I don't think they can ignore the Empire.
That'd be
cool. That long, you know, they're out in the books, in the novels, and that they're out there hunting them down. So as soon as they, I think. Look, I'm shocking for names, but that last episode with when she was talking to the rebel pilot, I think she's going to let them know what's going on, and they're going to come out and help out as well, I reckon. So,
Sci-Fi, have a good one. Yeah, I think this is about all we're going to get from Ahsoka's reveal next week. I think we'll get that, and that's how the episode will end.
Yeah,
it'll be like. I think that's about it. No, I really am hoping. I mean, as far as like directing episodes being directed, I know we still have an episode with Robert Rodriguez coming up. So he might be next week. But as far as I've heard, I just seem to recall hearing Filoni doing episode 5. So that's next week. But
so
yeah, all right. I've got. Sorry, go for it.
I was going to say, like the last 2 episodes of the first season were one big. What would you call it? So we've got 4 episodes left. We're going to see 2 episodes that are going to lead up to Ahsoka, and the last 2 are going to be joined up as the
very
big
much like last season.
The big showdown. So,
yeah, it should be pretty great for the next few weeks. Yeah, I'm very, very excited. I know last year, did they have a gap? No. I feel like they had a gap between... No, they didn't. I was thinking they had a gap for the release of Rise of Skywalker, but they didn't because I watched the second last episode the night of Rise of Skywalker coming out, and then I think they dropped the final episode like 3 or 4 days later.
Yeah.
So we'll see. We'll see how it all drops this year. I haven't really paid much attention aside from like what's going on this week. But Mandalorian Fan Channel says, "Have a great weekend, a great live stream. Enjoyed hearing your thoughts on this week's episode. Thank you very much. We appreciate you jumping in. I love your profile picture there of Mando holding the Darksaber. That is really cool. All right, guys. Thank you very much for tuning in to the chat. Sorry. One last question here, then we'll wrap it up. How'd you know who was directing beforehand? I think that's just, I don't know. That is a very good question. I feel like I read these somewhere. I'm gonna have to do some research because I have no idea. I just feel like I heard it somewhere. That's the best answer I can give.
And if I can just, guys, if you haven't checked my YouTube channel out, Red Leader One, head over to there, and I've got love sharing my Star Wars collection, and so go subscribe.
Yeah, I'll drop a link in the description below so you can go. I saw your subscribers are climbing quite rapidly now, so hopefully we can get it up nice and quick back to where it was.
Back to where it was.
Yeah.
Love
all
the
right, folks. Thanks very much for watching, and we'll catch up with you all next week.
See you guys.